Hey guys, it's your girl DJ Sims and welcome back to the Culture Podcast. Today I'm here with DJ Limelight and we have some very special guests.
That's right, man. And we have some real special guests up in there today talking about relationships. We thought, we'll record this just in time for Valentine's. By the time this comes out, Valentine's would have passed. A lot of people will be broke this month, would have spent all their money, you know what I'm saying? So, first and foremost, welcome to the podcast, guys. I mean, introduce yourselves for those who might not know.
Thank you so much for having us, Sims, Limelight. I'm Sonny, I'm a love coach, and my journey started when I first fell in love with this woman here. This is my beautiful wife, Babita. When we was first dating, oh my God, we struggled and we had so much pain and hurt, and then we had to figure it out. So this helped me become a love coach. I'm the founder of Love Fest, and we help singles come together and create a better space for healthier relationships, more loving relationships. So I'm Sonny, and it's my beautiful wife.
And I'm Babita. I help with the events. I make people feel good about themselves if they're feeling a little bit nervous. So yeah, we do the Love Fest events.
Yeah, man, let's give them a round of applause. It's so nice to have both of you up in there because I feel like this is a conversation that myself and Sims wanted to have with 30 people, should we say. People that we feel are like interesting, experienced in dealing with, doing a singles event must entail so much more than just getting a bunch of single people in a room and hoping for the best. But I just feel like it was the perfect time to do that. I mean, for those who don't know, this is you guys' first time doing a podcast together, right?
Yeah, the three of us now. We got the bump here, and mine and my wife's first time doing a podcast together. And we're happy to share and go deeper to help you understand what it took. When we first met each other, we had the Indian pressures of family that actually went against us, that was pushing us away from each other. And this was something crazy at the time, going back 13 years now. And we didn't know what we was doing. We felt so much love, so much joy for each other, but we were being pushed apart. And at that time, we had to fight for the relationship. And there's so much depth to what we had to go through, which is now what we help people go through with the events, with coaching, through support, to know that they're not alone.
And I feel like, obviously I've actually been at quite a few of your events. I've managed to DJ for them, which is so fun. And it's such an interesting concept. And I think it's so nice that you guys have kind of used your own journey to now help other people. But let's talk about the events because, it's such an interesting concept. As I said, I feel like more people are willing to go to these sort of events now. Is that what you're finding at the moment too?
Yeah, people are sick of dating apps right now because they're wasting time. I was speaking to this one woman. She wasted 3 years talking to this guy. Yeah. They never met. Nothing happened. And she goes to me, Sonny, if I come to your event, am I cheating? Have you met this guy? she goes, 3 years I haven't met. She came to the event and she met somebody. Because sometimes...
She met the guy that she'd been chatting to.
Not that guy.
That would have been nice.
I told her it's not cheating. Because you could waste so much time on dating apps trying to get to know each other, trying to build a relationship when it could be nothing.
I mean, don't you find that a lot of people find partners through things like Instagram and TikTok and all this nowadays though? That is also I hear a lot of people talk about it all the time online.
I think the dating apps definitely do work for some people. I think the reason that we love doing the events is because people want that personal touch as well. They're like, are you who you actually are? You go off the energy, you go off the conversation. So I think it's quite nice to actually see people face to face and be like, is there a connection here? Is there not? But I think the apps do work for some people as well. But I think it can become a little bit, when you don't meet the right person on the apps, it can get a bit boring, a bit tiring, I think.
And plus on the apps, you never get no learnings or growth. When you come to an event, the best thing is you can actually meet somebody. And if you don't meet somebody, there's a learning in that. Should I have been more approachable? Should I have been more friendly? Should I have put myself out there more? If on apps, you could just easily blame people. And I do agree. People can meet people on Instagram, on apps, everywhere. It's when they become more ready, which is the core message of what we do at Love Fest. Help people become ready for love and then connect. And that's what we found the most success with, balancing it both. So they become more brave, they become more open. And then they connect with somebody, and out of the blue, they're like, where you been all my life? Well, it's just them becoming that person. And as they become it, that's when everything opens up for them.
And obviously, we don't rate like all that catfish stuff as well, because that's a real life thing. I remember Sweet Bobby. I mean, you know, like that was a mad documentary.
Yeah,
where,
yeah.
like, someone impersonated to be someone and that kind of thing. I mean, you lot must have heard some horror stories like that too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. A Sweet Bobby was sad, right? But we see this so much. Like people, especially now there's ChatGPT, right? So now we could put our picture into ChatGPT, say, make me look better. Yeah, AI makes you look better. Next minute, they message you, put it into ChatGPT, what shall I respond? Now your responses are coming back from an intelligence that's greater than yours. Then you meet them in real life. You're like, was having such great conversations. What's happened? It's because it was ChatGPT. And they have to pull out their phone and go, what shall I say?
That's crazy. I mean, like, what would be your advice to people who might be like maybe a little bit nervous to like put themselves out there in person? Because it is easy just to be like, oh, just chat to somebody online, or maybe not put themselves forward to come to one of your events, for example. So what would like your advice be to people to just to get themselves out there a little bit more?
Yeah, I think one of the best things you can do is paint a picture that excites you. Paint a relationship picture that motivates you and excites you to go and put yourself out there. See, most people, they're playing a story that's negative. Oh, my ex hurt me. There's so much narcissism out there. Oh, I got ghosted. And because of that, they're making themselves closed because they're scared to put themselves out there. But if they could change the frame in their mind and play a program inside their mind that goes, you know what, maybe dating could be fun. Maybe meeting somebody could be fun, and let's see where it goes. Then their openness will allow them to talk to people more and take them risks, more on Tinder, more on dating apps, or go to events, not even just mine. But these kind of things can help them feel a bit more excited for love. I was watching on TikTok and Instagram the other day, there were so many negative stories about dating, and they were getting hundreds of thousands of views and likes, and they were like, this partner cheated on them, or I got ghosted on my first date. And what that's feeding the person's brain is negativity. And no wonder you're not going to be motivated. No wonder you are going to be closed off when you're finding love. So if you want to put yourself out there more, you want to paint a picture that's more exciting.
Yeah, man, and you guys must have experienced or heard about or even been involved in some like amazing stories as well when it comes to your personal events. Like, have you had any like love stories that have come out of your singles events, and are you able to share some of that?
You want to share about that sweet girl that had the panic attack, and now I'll share another one.
Yeah, we can do.
They got more than one.
They've got more. That's amazing.
Well, this story is more about how we try to make people feel as safe as possible at the events, because like you were saying, it can be really nerve-wracking, especially if you've never been to one of our events or event in general. Coming by yourself, you're trying to find the one, and there was this really lovely lady. She came in and she was so nervous. She was just like, I don't know what to do with myself. I was like, it's fine. I pulled her to the side and I was just like, you know what? Forget about the 300 people that are here, right? And just kind of gravitate towards the couple that you want to talk to. And I was just kind of like calming her nervous system down, like making her breathe properly. And by the end of it, she was like, thank you so much. She's like, that little like pep talk that you gave me was what I needed. Because I think people think you got to talk to everyone. You're not going to talk to everyone. You don't want to talk to everyone. You just got to gravitate towards the couple, you know, that you like, and then go with that sort of energy. But yeah, success stories. We've had quite a few actually, haven't we?
Yeah. I remember there was one for the last summer event, and you was DJing there as well, right? You did amazing, as always. But it was a white party event, and before that, this girl messaged me. She bought a ticket, but she said that I wanted a refund. So I was like, okay, what's going on here? So I goes to her, let's jump on a call together. We jumped on, and she goes to me, Sonny, I'm sick of meeting people now. She goes, the last person I met, he was a narcissist, controlling her, toxic. And we just got to talk to each other for about 15, 20 minutes, got to understand what was going on. She started crying, she started releasing. I said to her, come on, just have a bit of hope around this relationship, about coming to meet somebody. That event, she met somebody, and they messaged me afterwards. They've moved in together. It's a beautiful relationship. The families know, they've done their prayers and blessings for it. And them kind of stories are the reason why we do these events. It's because we really see people transform from hopeless to believing in love again and believing in possibilities.
That is an amazing story. I mean, I can imagine how that must make you guys feel so amazing that you're actually helping people, I guess, get over that tired phase of dating. And, you know, you always hear people, I'm tired of dating, like kind of like what she was saying.
Yeah.
What would you say to people who are in her situation and are like, I just don't want to date anymore?
So this goes deep. That question is so deep. And we have to look at what are their beliefs, what's their environment around dating, and what are they focusing on. And to summarize it really easy, there will be something going on inside of her life that's making her unhappy around the thought of relationships. It could be that she's seeing bad relationships in her life, or stories about it, or her family have experienced bad relationships or poor relationships, and this is what's draining her energy. I'll say to them, they have to open up a new vision. They have to start trying new things like yoga, or trying different activities to expand their brain, expand their opportunities. This will help their energy change. Then create a vision of a relationship. Start following people that are in healthy relationships. See what they're like, see what the traits are like of healthy relationships. And when you see that, you start believing, oh, it's possible for me to create it. If they created it, it's possible for me to do it. Yeah, because so many people are trapped. I don't know if you've ever seen that Flea experiment.
Yeah. Where they put the fake kind of barrier around them and make them feel like they can't escape or something.
Yeah, that's it. So they put the barrier around them, and then the fleas can't escape that barrier. And then even when they take the barrier away,
They don't want to leave.
they don't want to leave. And even when they reproduce, they stay in that barrier. And so many times, generational trauma and generational relationship habits and patterns are passed down in the same way. So we see like our parents and grandparents in unhappy relationships, and we think that's all we can create. But it's not true. You can leave that barrier and you could create something new.
Now that's interesting, but also like, don't you find like if somebody started becoming obsessed with the idea of like, oh, I want to have a healthy relationship, I'm going to follow this person and follow this person's lifestyle, they're not really finding themselves in that moment. And then, I ain't going to lie, that's when all these weirdos start popping up, because then they start catfishing. They'll get pictures of other people and pretend to be that person. Like, I've seen them things happen as well. I've had friends that have had mad situations where they're like, bro, like I was chatting to this girl, especially back in the day.
Yeah.
Like in the 2010s, 8s, 9s, them years where technology was still relatively new at that moment to be like interacting online with people. Don't you lot feel like sometimes that could breed a whole weird generation of weirdos?
They could already be weirdos. But you are right. Sometimes like there's that fake it till you make it concept that was so big for a while. It was a big trend, fake it till you make it. And I think that bred a lot of people that were just faking their image and faking who they are. But now I think we've opened up more. And this is actually why we love the events. Because you can't fake it till you make it on that. You can't really catfish people when you're at an event, because you get a feel for the energy. You get a feel for who they are, their personality. And we started doing longer events, the full day events, which helps people get to know each other even more. So now you will get to spend 5-6 hours with somebody. You get a grasp of who they are. And the big concept we're really opening up is how to become authentic again. How to become yourself and learn the healthy traits and habits. Just like when you go to the gym. You go to the gym and you learn how to do the weights.
No, but you know what I'm talking about? You know the early, like, I'm talking about them 08, 09, 10 years, yeah? Them catfishes then is different to now. I don't know if you lot are aware of this, but like people used to do mad catfishes back then. Like my boy went to meet a girl at a shopping centre. And like back then we didn't really have phones like where you could just like FaceTime and this and that. You just like texting and then like I ain't heard from him for like 2 days. I'm like, what happened to you? He's like, bro, I went there. I didn't see no one. I just see some guy sitting there, like a guy just sitting there, like an old man.
Oh.
Like, is he the guy? Was that the catfish? Do you get it? Like, them days was like that. Now I feel like technology's made it where you can't, like, there's too much online, in a good way, I think, where people can kind of figure out if somebody's, like, catfishing. I don't know why I'm talking to you lot so much about catfishing. I just find it mad interesting.
See, at the events, the catfishing thing, it is real though, but like when you come to the events, how can you catfish, you know? Like I always say to people, like, be yourself, because when you get with someone and you're in a relationship with them for about a year, 2 years, your real self will come out anyways, right? So be yourself.
But have you lot ever seen, like, someone at your event and you're like, that ain't the person on Instagram that we saw, like...
Yeah, absolutely.
So do you ever like lecture them about it?
You know what? We used to lecture a lot more at our events, and then we got a lot of bad feedback.
Oh my god!
We got killed. It was legit, we got destroyed. So now we made a rule not to coach. If they aren't coaching, you got to pay us separately.
I did have this guy though, and he was like, "Oh, help me choose what kind of photo to put up for." I don't know if it was his profile photo or something. So, anyways, I've seen him in real life because he's in front of me, and the photos that he's showing me are definitely like 8, 9 years old. And I said to him, like, in the most loveliest way, I was like, look, whoever you're going to be talking to, they want to know what you look like now, not like 8, 9 years ago. So he had like 7 or 8 photos. I was like, no, because it's not what you look like now.
But
and
was he
fair.
listening to you, or was he getting defensive?
I feel like he was listening to me because of like my approach. My approach was in like a nice, loving way. Like, look, I'm trying to help you here, you know? I want you to find love as well. So I was like, look, get a new photo, because these are all old. They're like 8, 9 years old. No. He did take it in a nice way, you know, but...
what, the pictures?
No, as in like, he took my feedback in a really nice way.
No, catfishing's real.
Yeah.
And it can hurt people as well. I had a client before. She got catfished. And you know where it's really scary? Is when people get a bit older, right? So this woman, she was about 47 years old. And she really wanted this healthy relationship, this loving relationship. And guess what? This guy was about 40 odd, and he sold her the dream. He said to her, oh yeah, this is exactly what I want. Yeah, all this healthy love, this is exactly it. Then he goes, let's meet up in a hotel. He goes, I'm going to come down and see you, but I get paid at the end of the month. So can you send me money for the hotel, which I'm going to give you at the end of the month, as well as my travel fare to get to you, please? But this woman, unfortunately, she had a hard time. So she goes, okay, he's telling me all the things I wanted to hear.
Risky, innit?
Yeah, so in that way, she got catfish. She sent him money, and then she got blocked.
What year was this? Did it happen in...
This was about 4 years ago.
Yeah, that's not good enough.
Yeah.
If it was 08, 09, 10, I would have given her the benefit of that. Because I know bare
really
man but I know bare people that got finesse back then. They were getting, you know what I mean? I know guys that were doing the same shit. Like, they were paying girls, and like the girls disappeared, and like getting upset and that. I know people like that.
Yeah.
I don't talk to them anymore.
That is really
That was
bad.
8 or 10.
This is like, you're talking post-COVID.
Yeah.
That's embarrassing, man.
It's hard.
Do you ever feel like someone isn't, you know, like you will see online as well, or you just hear people saying like, oh, I'm not ready to like date, or like I'm not ready to put myself out there. Do you feel like that is the case, or do you feel like you can be open? Or is there a time where, you know what, like if someone's come out of a relationship, for example, like is there a time where they are ready to date?
You know, I love that me and B's been on a healing journey, and one of the best things that fast-tracked it is working with coaches and mentors, because healing by yourself is a slow journey, and it's only as good as your thinking is. And one big warning to everyone is don't waste time. We see it so many times when women are like wasted 6-7 years, and now they're like 38 years old, and now they're saying I want to start dating, but the pool does get smaller, unfortunately. And then they say, you know, I can't find anyone good, or oh, I wish I didn't waste all this time. And that time is something they will never get back. So I encourage them to work with a healer, work with a coach, work with somebody that can actually help them get through it. Because that's all it is, right? If we take the emotion away from the situation, it becomes wisdom. And we start going, you know what, that bad circumstance happened because I was a bit naive. Yeah, like that poor woman that gave money to that guy. She could hold on to it for 6 years. Oh, I tried to date.
But how much money was it?
£500, I think. Yeah. But still, like, a commitment of energy and...
Imagine he's doing that 3-4 times a month. He's making good. He's doing that, isn't it? Like he's got a game plan. Yeah, it's a very sad thing to say, but that's how people they're finessing vulnerable people, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And if she waited 6-7 years for that to happen, 6-7. But if she waited all that time, then now she's going to be 55 and stuck in that same place. So it's about taking the learnings. I'm not going to be that naive again. Taking the wisdom and letting go of the emotion. So if people can do that, that's when they can grow and open up to love faster.
Yeah. What do you actually believe, like, kind of keeps a relationship strong and healthy? If we're going to just talk about actually being in a relationship now, I mean, you guys can probably use yourselves as an example. Like, you know, you guys have been together for so many years. You're now like together, still having a baby. Like, it's such good news. But what keeps a relationship strong and healthy?
Do you know what? I think with us, it's coming up to 13 years of being together this month, actually. And we have grown together so much. And I think that's so important as individually, but as a couple as well, you know, because you're going to be growing, you're going to be changing. Who we were 13 years ago and who we are now, completely different people. And thank God for that, you know, growth, healing, and you know, past relationships that we had to deal with as well. So I think growth is one thing, and also supporting each other as well. You know, like if there's something that you want to do, we want to do together, putting that support in and really embracing it. So I think that helps.
Yeah, it's amazing. And there's a stat that shows 94% of couples end if they do this one thing. And this is one thing that we had to change in our relationship. It's a refractory period from an argument, which means how do you deal with conflict? And if you're able to deal with your emotions afterwards, then you're able to keep a healthy relationship. See, so me and B, when we first got together, and was a lot more toxic, we would argue and we would hold on to that for about a week. She wouldn't be answering my calls. She'll give me a little bit of attention.
If I was annoyed at him at the beginning, I was annoyed for a week. And I'm like, wow. And that argument then lingers for a week. You're in that bad mood for a week. You're bad at your job for a week because that's your mood, right? So
I'm starting to resent her. I'm starting to all these.
But I think that maybe that comes from like the way like you might have dealt with arguing with family members when you're a kid. Because I noticed that as well. Like, you know, like if you've grown up in an environment where like you're used to arguing with a family member like that and having that same reaction, naturally that's how you're going to deal with the relate. But you have to learn to adapt to the relationship. So it's like, that's just how I've seen it, because it's like people do it all the time, innit?
So true.
Do you know what I mean? And I think even like you kind of answered the question I had in mind next anyway, which was to do with like what is one of the most common mistakes. But I guess it's like how you deal with differences, innit? Because and how you understand each other. I mean, was there ever a point where like, and this is a deep question, and I don't even know if it's appropriate to ask this, but did you ever feel like when you've argued, you felt like breaking up at any stage of your relationship?
At the beginning, we did. Like, we broke up a good few times at the beginning of our relationship because we couldn't understand each other. And I think the understanding part, like, I think how many times
like you've upset him now. He's sitting there thinking, what, she wanted to break up?
We did break up. We actually did break up a good handful of times at the first. The honeymoon period of a relationship for us was not the honeymoon period because we had so many like toxic traits from like past relationships that I know I was bringing into our relationship. I didn't have time to heal. And, you know, like we were talking about this earlier, Sims, where everyone has been through a bad relationship, a bad breakup, but you need that time to heal and go through it. And personally for me, I didn't have that time. And then I met Sonny pretty much straight away. And then I almost brought those toxic traits into our relationship.
Almost, you did.
I did.
When we would argue, this would be like a simple argument. She'll get in my face and start screaming at me. I'm like, hold on, what is going on here? Like, what world are we living in? I was like, women don't act like this. But her previous relationship was very aggressive. There was a lot of anger in there. And then she brought that to this because she thought that was the way I was going to argue with her. So before we even got into an argument, it was the smallest thing, right? The iron's still on, or this has happened. And she's in my face, and I'm like feeling this anger to get back in her face. And I'm like, this ain't like me. What is going on? And we was holding on to so much previous emotion and pain. And yeah, you know what? We held on to that argument. We resented each other, pushed each other away. We broke up so many times at the start of the relationship. One day we broke up. It was properly, like it was, in my mind it was properly. I remember this like it was yesterday. I deleted her pictures, deleted her number, and we used to work together. She came to where I used to work, and I used to sit there and pretend I didn't see her. Right? And this girl, I was puppy dog love at that time. I loved her so much, still do. But at that point there, I was so whipped.
Yeah. You was younger, obviously, so you was in that mode, didn't you?
Yeah, I was like, ooh, yeah. I was so whipped for this love. And I had to be strong, like, no, ignore her. And then it was about 10 days later. I was about to go out with my friends for New Year's Eve. And she pulled up at my house and plans changed. And then because of that, we actually made up. But it was that big argument and that big separation that goes, we've got to change our ways. We can't do this anymore. And that was when later on we started to go to Tony Robbins, started to do all these great things. And we started learning about, you know what, let's not hold on to these emotions. Let's not hold on to these fights. We don't need to. Let's create a better life together.
I think like we still hold that rule now, and I think that works so good for us. When we have an argument, arguments are normal, regardless of whether you've been together for a year or 13 years. Arguments are normal as long as you can iron it out, understand each other, apologise, and just move on.
And not scream, obviously.
And not scream anymore. Yeah,
Ish.
I've dealt with that part. Yeah, and just move on.
But also my mechanism was to go quiet, because you were right, like how you said. In my family arguments, I used to go quiet. So I'm the youngest. So in that stage there, I would go really quiet. I would be like, it's fine, whatever. So I almost found a balance. She'll get loud, I'll go quiet. But then she didn't respect me as a man. Because when I'm going quiet, she wanted my protection and leadership. I wasn't giving that to her. And that's why she was acting up even more. So she was going worse and worse. And she was saying deep down in her subconscious, you can't protect me. You can't look after me. And I was saying, I better go quiet so I save the peace. I want more harmony in this relationship. It wasn't until it took a lot. And you know what? My mum, she's a great healer. My mum started this healing journey. She separated from a toxic and abusive father that we have. And she was the one that changed the game for back then. This was like in 1990, yeah? A lot of families were tolerating abusive parents and abusive husbands. My mum was like, no, I'm not doing that. Got to the point where my father threw my brother down the stairs. And my mum was like, this is it. I can't do this. So my mum got us and she left. But what happened was she had trauma around relationships. So her view around relationships was like, don't get in them. Don't get married. So this was my mum's advice. And when I first met B, my mum got so scared because she saw me falling in love. And she got so scared. And what happens when we're scared? We hold on tighter. So my mum tried pulling me in and pushing B away. And then during that period, it was really tough. Like she would say like some really deep stuff about B, about us, about the relationship. But it was the best thing that transformed me to not be that quiet one anymore, to actually become a leader. And then I had to become a leader within the relationship. I had to become a leader in my family relationships, and then step up to a greater level. And then this has helped our relationship solve them arguments, because now B feels safer that I'm a leader. She feels safer, you know what, whatever's going to happen, I don't need to get crazy and get in his face anymore, because I trust that he's a leader and things are going to get better. And when that dynamic changed, the arguments changed, and so did the family relationship in a beautiful way. Now my mum loves B like dearly. She loves her more than me, I think.
And that's how it should be, really and truly. But like, what advice would you give to people that might be in a situation, let's say there's two scenarios actually. A person that's struggling to find true love in their mind, that might be like an obstacle in their head, and another person that's probably in a long-term relationship that feels like maybe they've lost love in that relationship. I mean, how would they be able to deal with that? Thinking I haven't been there, so I don't know.
No, if you lost love in the relationship, it's so common. The 6 human needs are drivers, right? The first one is certainty. And certainty is like, you want to do everything the same. And we need certainty to survive. So when that is in a relationship, you know your partner's there, you know it's a stable relationship. But the problem is, people fall under this pattern where it's so stable, it becomes boring, right? And a lot of relationships that lose their passion just become a routine relationship. Every day they go back home, they have the same food, they have the same dal, they watch the same programs, they talk about the same things, and this relationship now becomes boring. This person's like, why don't I feel satisfied? Why don't I feel happy? It's because we want adventure, which is the next human need of uncertainty. And you think about it, when we first meet each other, we're going to new restaurants, we're going to new places, we're doing so much things together. And then they need that spice for life to come back into the relationship. The third human need is significance. Every relationship needs the other person to feel special. And many times, when people are going through a rut and going through hard times in a relationship, they forget about their partner and focus on themselves. They forget about making the other person feel special and demand that specialness to themselves. So we have to break out these patterns. The fourth human need is love. And in that stage, when the relationship's going down, they just settle for connection because there's been so much pain or hurt. So what I'd advise is they need to really look at how can they do what they did at the start of the relationship. Because if you do what you did at the start of the relationship, there'll be no end to the relationship. And this will help them to go, you know what, at the start we'll always go out. At the start we'll talk about what's next year, we're going to get proposed, or we're going to go on holiday together, what we're going to do together. They'll talk about things that excite them, that help them to grow, which is the fifth human need. And the sixth human need is actually contribution, which in a relationship word, it means you give to your partner's needs. You know, at the start, you do everything to give to your partner. The woman will come dressed up, looking amazing. The guy will pick the best restaurant traditionally, right? In case anyone comes at me. But traditionally... Yeah,
because then you're going to open up that convo about 50-50 bills and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And the guy should always pay on the first date.
Ah, look at that.
Traditionally. So then when we're contributing to our partner, we're thinking, how can I impress them? How can I look good for them? How can I choose the right place? Then we're in a rut in a relationship. We go, how can he make me happy? How can she make me happy? Everything becomes about I, not them, which it first started with. So to transform that relationship that's going through a rut, I would invite them to do a challenge. About 60 days, focus on your partner's needs. What do they need? What love do they need? What adventure do they need? What was I doing at the start of the relationship to make them happy? And then when you switch it that way, you take yourself out of it and the energy of the relationship starts to blossom and things get great. So that would be to that scenario.
And I think just to touch up on that as well, I think even with us, like we've been together for 13 years and like we still like to do spontaneous date nights, you know, whether that's like the cinema or a restaurant or even just like a walk in the park where it's time for us because we both live such busy lives. So you like just keep doing your date nights, like yeah, keep doing your date nights. Don't forget about each other and yeah, like you said, do what you did at the beginning of the relationship.
Make sure Sonny's paying the bill. But you know, when it also like comes down to the next stage, like you guys obviously were in a long-term relationship, settled down, now you're expecting a child. Let's talk about the marriage side of things because I feel like, you know, this is a part where people get together in all different types of ways and settle down, whether it's like an introduction marriage or an arranged marriage or a love marriage and this and that. I mean, when did you guys really feel it was the right time? I mean, I know Sonny's going to say from day one when I first looked at her eyes, into her eyes and all this. But like realistically, like on a real scale of like, okay, cool, you know, my mum doesn't particularly get along with her at this moment. Then you guys have overcome that obstacle. Then there's like the toxic side of it. You've overcome that. What was the kind of like the point where you were like, you know what?
We're ready.
We're ready, exactly.
Yeah. See, with us, we did it the complete opposite way to how typically South Asians would do it. Like, we dated for 6 years. We both come from single parent families, so we both have seen a lot of unstable relationships. So when we got together, we were like, you know what, let's just enjoy ourselves, get to know each other. Luckily, my mum didn't put too much pressure on me. She was a bit like, I introduced Sonny, I think 6 or 7 months into our relationship, because I was like, Mum knows I'm always going out. I don't really want to lie to her. So I was like, Mum, I am seeing someone. So I brought him home. Mum was like, when are you going to marry my daughter? I was like, oh my God. So I had to speak to my mum afterwards. I was like, look, Mum, we're having a good time. We're enjoying ourselves. If it heads that way, it heads that way. So we dated for 6 years. And then I was like, okay, I'm finally ready to get married now. So I was like, showing him kind of rings that I wanted.
Yeah, I don't know what story you're telling. About a year before going to Bee's house, right? About 4 or 5 years in, on a vision board, she got this white board in a room that was getting married.
Yeah, that's
I saw pictures of the room.
4 or 5 years in that was.
In the back of the car, there was a diary that said, I said yes. I was like, the clues are out here, right? The clues are there. But you know, like, it's funny you say that, because I was about 95% sure, and I don't know if I've ever shared this with you before, but I was about 95% sure until I actually proposed. Was at an event, a Tony Robbins event, and he broke down this style of love. He has 3 different levels of love. He has the first level of love is a baby's love. That was like, I want, give me. Second level of love is transactional. It was like, I do this for you, now you do this for me. And the third level of love is when you give to each other's needs. And this is like the highest level of love. I remember then things would get tough. We'll go into a level 1 or a level 2 of love. And I remember it was so difficult for me because I was like, I don't know if I want to marry this person if it's not the right thing. I didn't know this consciously, but for some reason it felt wrong. And I remember the day I wanted to propose. It was because me and B understood this model of the world, and we wrote this letter and we cried, and we had this letter that said, you know what, I promise you I'm going to play to your needs, that if you need something I'm going to be there for you, I'm going to provide for your needs beyond myself. And when we both declared this, it was like, that's it, now I want to marry you. And I think shortly after that I proposed to her, and then that was the final decision for me. So I was like, you know what, beyond everything else, we're going to be together and you're going to meet my needs. That means like if I come back from a long day of work, like instead of me coming back and you're like, oh, I've had such a stressful day, it's been so long, God. I'm like, bro, I'm already tired. Instead, I come back and she'll be like, babe, you okay? What do you need? And it's as simple as that, just that little gesture, even if it's a tea or water, it makes all the difference because I'm like, oh, I'm just loved. 5-10 minutes and I'm going to give back to you. And because of that, we've got through so many obstacles, so many challenges together, because we got beyond our own bullshit and we started focusing on each other. So that was when I actually knew I was going to marry her, because it's so hard for me to marry as well.
Do you feel like within like our culture, we kind of touched on it before, but do you feel like within our culture there's like that pressure to actually get married by like certain age? You have to, you know, like before you hit a certain age, get married. And how can someone overcome that? Because then people start just looking for anybody. I've seen it happen. Like I've actually seen it happen with like even family or just people online, and it's like, or the question, or when are you going to get married if you're a certain age? Do you feel like that's a thing?
Yeah, such a thing. And these questions come up. So you go to university, get your degree, get a job. So now when you're getting married, and the pressure falls back in. Unfortunately, that makes the person go into a desperate state. So the more pressure the family's putting onto the individual, and I see it at the events, they come in desperate, out of energy, tired, drained. I go, what's the matter? I want love. My family don't think I'm good enough unless I find love. Because every time they're asking them, at every occasion, at every wedding, they're asking them, oh, when are you getting married? When's your partner coming in? So they don't think they're good enough until that happens. So they come in tired and broken. I asked them, how old are you? They told me 27. I go, what the hell?
Crazy.
Are you kidding me? I thought you're like 50. No. But that puts so much pressure on people to lower their emotional state, to put them in fear. And this actually makes them find narcissistic, controlling, and abusive partners because they're just trying to settle for anyone. Instead of encouraging your child to go out there and find love the right way, giving them that reassurance that the right person's coming and pushing them in the right direction by asking them questions and putting that pressure on, it's making them go into a lot of shame, a lot of fear, and that's when they're open to them toxic relationships. So we see that so much. And a bit of advice is you got to stop giving your power to other people, because the more you're giving your power to people, guess what? You get married. When's the kid coming? And then you got another question. When's the second kid coming? And constantly you're living your life for somebody else. So you almost got to detach a little bit, pull yourself back out and say, when do I want to find love? And when you start asking yourself that question, you start going, well, what do I want in a partner? Not what do my parents want, because it's completely different. Our parents found somebody from the bin, right? It was like in a beautiful arranged marriage, and things were easier then. I say they're easier because there were less options. Now we've got Tinder, dating apps, Love Fest. We've got different things coming up, right? Where people aren't settling for poor relationships. Where in our parents' era, they would have gone into a relationship and they would have found a way to make it work, which is very beautiful. But them options aren't the same anymore. And I say it's beautiful, but there's a lot of hidden divorces in our culture. There's a lot of families that don't get on with each other, that don't keep eye contact with each other, and actually sleep in other rooms. And we grow up watching that, and we say, no, my family's fine. But you still see your mum or your dad sleeping in separate rooms. You see your mum and your dad never kiss each other, never hold each other, never love each other. And then that becomes our blueprint for life. So although it was okay for that era, we know we want more in our era. And this means we got to encourage them, and also we got to get to know ourselves more. Very powerful question. It's very, very deep, and it's a lot of the work that we do with people. So this is why I'm so passionate about it, because we see people that are doctors, that have like graduated to like a great degree or great levels, but they're beating themselves up because they feel like they're not good enough for their family, for the people that love them, because they're always so hard on themselves. And this is why they're finding the poor relationships and the toxic relationships.
Yeah, and I find it interesting that you mentioned secret divorces. You know, that's like the perfect way to explain a lot of people's behind the closed door day-to-day life, innit, right? So it's like we hear more stories now. I mean, we don't know the exact stats right here, right now. We didn't research it, but like we feel like divorces have definitely gone up. Like a lot of people don't settle with what they've decided to settle with, and there's like a lot of back and forth. And I mean, how does somebody deal with divorce in you guys' opinion? I'm sure many people that go to your events are like divorced. You know, they've had to take time out to get over it, find themselves, maybe even change the way they look, maybe the way they act, maybe their habits change, maybe start hitting the gym more. Like, I mean, how do people deal with that in your experiences?
So just to add to your stats, right? However, stats.
I mean, I have zero stats.
So
you're helping me now.
So recently, it's like 67% of couples are getting divorced, right? But it's really, really high. I don't know who makes these stats, but I'll tell you the other caveat to that stat. Less people are getting married. So we're getting a decline in marriages and an increase in divorces. So because of this, we're almost getting in this trapped way. People don't want a long-term committed relationship, and the ones that are going into it are divorcing. So it's because a lot of people are getting married without knowing themselves, without knowing who they are. So the ones that come, I just tell them, you know what? It's not like a divorce. Think of it like a long-term relationship that went wrong. Think of it like an opportunity for you to just wake up. Because many times people get into relationships when they're early on in like their early 20s, or I know this woman that got into a relationship when she was 17. Imagine us at 17. I had no clue who I was. And you're in this relationship, you get married to this person, you have no clue who you are. And you start finding yourself, and then you divorce. Instead of judging yourself, or putting them limitations on yourself, you've got to really look at it as a long-term relationship that just went wrong. And now, maybe now you can decide what you want and who you are a bit more.
And just to touch up on that as well, I think, because you said it is common, divorces. I think you can't judge yourself for the divorce because you don't know what happened in that story, you know, like that wasn't the right relationship. So I think when you do go into a new relationship, don't judge yourself for that, because if you're judging yourself, the person you're talking to is also going to be judging you as well. So I think it's one of those things that's happened. Don't bring it into your present, as long as you've dealt with the trauma that came with the divorce. If you've not dealt with that trauma and you bring that to your next relationship or the person that you're talking to at the event, it's going to come up. So I think you've got to deal with it.
Would you say things like therapy is very important to be able to understand if you have dealt with the trauma? Because, you know, a lot of people might not even know that they have any trauma in the situation.
Absolutely. I think therapy, coaching, like doing the inner work. It's so easy to distract yourself from the problem, but you've got to do the inner work, because then that pattern will keep coming up in other relationships. And we see it all the time where, you know, you do get regulars coming to the events and it's like, okay, you got to do the work, do the inner work, deal with that, and then it won't come up in other relationships.
One of the best tests you could do to understand if you're still stuck in that situation is how you talk about the event. So some people would choose not to talk about the divorce and they completely block it out. That means that it's unresolved trauma. The other person, they'll talk about it, they start crying, or they start shaking, or their voice starts going. That means that it's unresolved. So this is a nice trigger for people. If they want to share it or they talk about, okay, the ex-relationship was really difficult, the divorce was really hard, what's coming up inside of them? Like, are they starting to shake? Are they starting to go, anyways, forget about that, yeah? This is a clear sign that they haven't dealt with the trauma. And all that means is taking the wisdom from the situation. And I promise you, I've worked with hundreds of, and even thousands of people I've been helping throughout this time period. We've helped so many people. And once they take the wisdom from that time period, I just had to be stronger with my boundaries. You know, I should have just spoke and said, this is what I wanted, right? It should have been clearer. And when they didn't respect that, I should have walked away sooner. Yeah, when they get clear on the wisdom from that situation, it's almost like they could breathe again, because it's not trapping them anymore. And that's when they're ready to create a better relationship. You know, in love coaching, we call it 3 relationships. So the first one's like our puppy dog relationship. It's where we're very naive and we fall in love and we're like, oh my God, this is amazing. Oh, I've never felt this way before. This is our first relationship. Normally ends in a bit of pain and hurt. The second relationship is when we've got a bit hurt, our ego's up a bit more, but we find somebody. And we're like, oh, there's some attraction there, something's happening. We're going to that relationship. This one's a learning, because they're battling our heart to our ego. So they're trying knocking us down and we're trying to take in. Obviously, you can jump past that second relationship if you do some work to heal the pains and take the wisdom, so you learn faster. And then the third relationship is normally the long-term happy relationship when we go on that journey.
And then obviously, like, you know, speaking of divorce, a lot of people might not get divorced, especially I think within our community. You know, sometimes you feel that pressure to actually just stay in an unhappy scenario to keep families happy. Maybe they have kids, they don't know what the dynamic's going to be like. Do you find that a lot of people do tend to stay in unhappy, like, situations, marriages, relationships? Doesn't have to be a marriage, just to keep the dynamic, you could say, okay.
Yeah, we're so conditioned by familiarity. So we're like, this must be better than anything else. Or you know what, I'm just going to stick to it and hopefully things will get better. It's 2 things, like when we play the slot machines. Yeah, you put money into slot machines, there's a psychology behind it. You keep playing the slot machine, you keep playing it, you keep putting money into it. And the reason why you put money into it...
Make sure hard your garlic not here.
That was the one thing
Trust me. Hard, if you're locked in right now, he's joking, he doesn't play slot machine.
Hard to know about the psychology behind it, but they keep you trapped on this slot machine because it's the invested money that you put into it. So you think there's going to be a return. And many people are doing that with relationships. They invest so much time. I paid for this meal, I paid for this date, we've gone through the stages, the family knows. Oh,
Spend bare peas on
spend bare peas, yeah.
bare time. And
Absolutely. Yeah, but some people spend like £300 a date. Yeah, they're investing well. Saw this recent video and this woman was went on a first date, and the guy paid, or just when she got the bill, he goes, if I pay, I'm going to sleep with you tonight.
oh yeah, I think we've seen that one.
You've seen that?
Viral, innit? Where
Yeah,
he's
it's gone
arguing,
viral, yeah. And she was like, what do you mean? I think it was like $130.
But I find like the ones in America are a bit staged when I've seen things like that. But
Potentially, I felt it could be. Yeah, because the next video was having a beautiful relationship, so I was a bit like unsure.
But that could be a scenario that happens.
I think it is expected as well. I think sometimes there are people that do expect that. I know I've had clients before that's come in and that said, oh, this guy paid for a meal, and then he said, oh, shall we go back to yours straight after? So he paid for the meal, took him there, and he goes, let's go spend time at your house. And then I think there was one client, she said to him, no, you're not coming back this soon. And then the next day, he messaged her saying, you're disgusting. You used me for my meal. You didn't even let me come and spend time at your house. What kind of person are you? And she was like, somebody that has value for herself. So she was like, no way. Block, delete. You're out of my life. And I think that's where we've got to be really careful. Is that you got to value yourself more than kind of pressures, than kind of circumstances. Thankfully, this person did value herself. So she was like, no way. It's not happening.
yeah, that's interesting as well, man. And then like, let's talk about the pregnancy right now, because I feel like this is a very exciting time for you guys, and even for us, man, because we've been friends for quite a while now, and it's so nice to see that journey that you guys are going through. I mean, let's talk about it from a slightly deeper perspective. How do you keep the relationship solid throughout this time? There must be a lot of mood swings and a lot of change in lifestyle as well for yourself, especially Babita. So what's it been like for you up until this point?
Do you know what? This pregnancy is something that obviously we both manifested. I am 35 years old, and you hear stories, especially within our culture, like as women get older, does it get a bit harder to get pregnant? We've been married for coming up to 7 years now, and again, like, our journey has been the way we wanted it. Like, we were ready for a child, and like last year I manifested getting pregnant. Like, even on my vision board, the first photo that was on my vision board was our little family. So timing is everything, and I'm so glad that it's happened during this process. But yeah, it's been an interesting journey. Like, I'm learning a lot about myself, my body. Sonny's been so supportive. Like, if I need little massages, back massages, he's been so good with the journey. And I think it's the next chapter for us, and it's especially for you as well, I think, because he's not had a father figure role, and knowing that he's going to be a father, it's transformed both of us, but you in a very beautiful way as well.
Yeah, I remember last year, actually, we started trying for a baby last year, and you know what, these stories do pop up. You're 35 and all these pressures do come up into your mind, especially when you're trying for something new. And we was trying, and then every month we'll be like, oh, you're on your period again. And I remember that awkward feeling, and it was where we had to manifest and just really visualize and get excited for the baby, and just fall in love with the idea of the baby, and try and put all them stories behind us. That, you know what, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if your body's healthy, we're healthy. And there was one thing that we changed, which I think will add value to lots of people. Before, we used to do intermittent fasting, so we'll skip breakfast. And this was good for both of us in terms of business and focus and everything like that. But then we found out that it puts B's body in a state of survival. And when your body's in a state of survival, it's not the right time to produce a baby, especially consciously. I know people fall pregnant in whatever state, but when we're consciously trying, it's different. And then when we changed that, it was that month that she fell pregnant. And, you know, it was such a beautiful feeling, and we were surprised and we was like excited, and it's been a powerful journey. Speaking as a man, it's both of us in this pregnancy. And it's Dr. Huberman actually spoke about some studies that found that the male body changes while the wife is pregnant. And actually the male body puts more weight on. And apparently it's to store more and to hold more weight, so then when the baby's produced, you can run on more fuel, right? So you can start burning the fat. But this journey has been really interesting. I spoke about, you know, level 1, level 2 of love and everything. But at this point here, a lot of the love goes to B. And almost the partner becomes not ignored, but my needs become really, really secondary or third. And it takes great patience. Like, I've had to learn so much more patience within myself. I've had to, like, just go, you know what, Sonny, you got to give yourself that attention. And I actually also understand why a lot of partners can cheat when their partner's pregnant, right? And I know it sounds deep and tough, but I can understand it, because a lot
you can't be sitting there saying that. we trying to say it, man.
It's not understanding, like...
I'm joking. I know you're thinking of it from a very...
broad.
No, and I also agree with you.
I hope so, anyway.
Because there's a lot of people that would say that.
The way you're
well,
saying
like,
it is mad.
Yeah. No, but I get why the thought will come up. Not that I tolerate it. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. But the reason why is because all that energy goes into one person. So almost if you're a person that ain't able to regulate your own emotions, if you're not able to, like, understand yourself and give yourself that space, then you're going to be like, what's my quick fix? Right? What is a quick fix to feel good? And then alternatively, that's what quick fix. Another thing that's a quick fix is going out for drinks. All these different things are quick fixes, right? Yeah. So that's what I mean. Like,
it's
this
like
is
temporary kind of like excitement to that.
That's it, yeah. Because the relationship you have to be so patient with, you have to be so loving with, you have to give to your partner. So almost if they're looking for that temporary excitement outside, that's why these things can happen. And that's why it probably is more common when people are during pregnant. Not that I tolerate it, it's absolutely disgusting, and you have to be there for your partner during this period. But I can understand why the thought can
Do you
come
think
up.
that also is what triggers, like, I mean, I don't know, again, statistically, we've been poor today, we ain't done no statistic research yet, but like, we do hear stories about guys leaving their partners and this and that, you know, and kind of being a deadbeat father, for example.
Yes.
Just not being there for the child, literally, and for the partner.
I think that's part of the reasons. It's a huge stage to evolve. Like, you're being asked to evolve. Like, I've gone and taken...
You're being basically told to...
Yeah.
Right?
yeah. The universe, God, whatever you believe in, is telling you it's time for you to evolve. It's time for you to not care about yourself, right? And it's very easy for you to fall under this pattern to go, actually, I just want to care about myself. And it's helped me evolve. I've taken the steps to go towards taking Amrit in Sikhism, which is like declaring your life and dedicating your life to God. And I'm doing that for two reasons. I'm doing it to evolve to be a better father for the child. And I'm doing it because it came to me in a dream. so I was trying to fight it for a while. My ego was coming in like, Sonny, you can't go and change the way you look. You can't do all these things. Instead, you got to stay focused, and it was very difficult for me to change this kind of identity that I had. But I had to trust it and evolve in that way.
Have you ever been religious at any point in your life, or was it just literally now you just feel connected to it?
So I remember I forgot the name of God for a long time. When I was at like university, God would never be a word that I would say. Like, I would just be like, whatever. And then you go from university and you almost think like, I'm king of the world. Got my degree. Then we go work. I was working in London doing all these different things. And I never remembered what God was or who God was. It wasn't until I got married into B's family that I started to see like Amritdhari things, which are the ones I like dedicated to God. And they were a different vibration to the Sikhs that I met at university. The Sikhs that I met at university, they were like a bit more ego. And don't get me wrong, I had ego as well at that point, man. Don't get me wrong. But they were more ego. But I think now looking back at it, they were more Punjabi culture. They were like partying, drinking, judging, all these kind of things. I thought, this doesn't align with me. But in my mind at that point, I thought, I don't like Sikhs because I only had a little association to it. And then when I got married into his family, I saw Amritari Sikhs, which were people that really dedicated this time. And it was a different vibration, a different level of focus, acceptance. And this kind of invited me in. And then I started to remember the name of God. And it's been on that journey since.
And do you feel like the journey that you guys are both in now, obviously the religious journey, but also the pregnancy and about to be parents, has that shifted your view on love, safety, and everything around it, and marriages and relationships?
I think if anything, it's just added on to that extra layer of love that we have for each other, knowing that like we've created a little bit of you and a little bit of me, and also to be the best role models that we can be for our child. Like the role models that we had growing up, I mean, you know, they weren't the best, but we've dealt with that. And I think knowing that we're going to have our own child now, we want to teach them right from wrong, how to be a good person, how to treat people. So yeah, I think if anything, we're just expanding that level of love because we want to be the best role models.
No, of course. And, you know, the pregnancy is a big stage in both of your lives, obviously, like, you know, you both explained. And, you know, running an event that is based around singles and that, I mean, surely that's going to impact that for a moment, or is that still going to run, or what's the plans with that when it comes to Love Fest?
Well, we got one next week and I'm still going to be there. I'm still going to be representing.
Yeah, absolutely. One next week, we will be there. And then they are going to be reducing to 3 times a year. And then we've been working with like millionaires and really celebrities with matchmaking. What we're going to be doing this year is opening it up to more people. We've been able to find ways to scale it and use our method to actually help people to meet people. So this is going to be our new focus, so that we can still spend time with the kid and still grow, whilst helping people find love and helping them overcome whatever issues they have finding love.
One question I did actually have before we wrap up was, what was the first ever singles event like that you guys ever held? Like, I mean, how did that go for you guys? The first ever one. Do you not remember it?
So I remember I was dealing with a coaching client. She was telling me, apps aren't working for her. So I was like, okay, there's an event in London, singles event, I'm going to take you to that. So I went, she went, I wanted to find out her issues and blocks. But the host of the singles event didn't turn up. So I started hosting that event. So naturally I started hosting it. I found out she had a lot more deeper blocks, was able to help her with them blocks. And then we did the next event and we had this really shabby room. It was a £5 ticket, and they wasn't giving us the right space because the bars didn't trust us, the venues didn't trust us. So we had this really poor room. And people came, and because it was a low price ticket, I remember it was just being madness. People were smashed. People were doing like loads of things in the toilets. People were just like, poor behaviour was everywhere. And we was like, wow, we can't do this again. Let's charge more. And since then, it's been like 4.5 years now. And yes, the quality of people that come is completely different. I know you mentioned like there must be like a lot of divorced people come and stuff like that. You know what we find? There's a lot of people that value their time that come. Because instead of wasting months and years on dating apps, they just value their time in one evening or one full day where they're able to meet somebody, connect with them deeper, and then form a relationship. So we've kind of changed the way and the people that we attract. Everyone's welcome, of course, but these are the people that come more. It's the people that value their time.
Yeah, and I'm guessing people that have like careers and are quite busy and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, like professionals working many hours, working on the weekends and see the family. They're like, I ain't got time for the dating apps. They come, they value their time, they meet somebody. Happy days.
No, it was actually very, very insightful. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really, really enjoyed hearing your story and actually a bit more insight on relationship and love.
Definitely, and congrats to you both
Yeah.
as well.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations for having us.
thank you so much for having us. Like, we're so grateful for both of you two, and especially this relationship that we built over the years. Having DJ Sims always working at the events, also having you. It's amazing to have a nice family and group that support the events. And one thing that I really truly value about you both is your integrity, your professionalism, and this relationship that we've carried out throughout. So thank you for having us on.
Thank you.
Honestly, thank you for being part
We
of it.
appreciate those kind of words. I'm getting emotional.
Yeah, that was really nice. Thank you. Thank you so much.